I want to wrap up with a question. What does self-talk sound like with Les Brown?
You know, when I get ready to speak, I always say more of thee, less of me. When I spoke to 80,000 people in the Georgia Dome, I don't remember the speech. All I remember when Mike Williams gave me the microphone and said, "You got this, Brownie. You can do this. Make your mother proud." And so I train speakers how to speak from the heart. And before I go out, I'm saying to myself, use me. Use me as a channel. Use me to speak to someone that's in a tough situation or in a dark place. Use me to be a light, to inspire them, to bring them out. I can't tell you the number of emails that I get from around the world that people have said, "You saved my life." And I say, to God be the glory. I'm so glad that I was used as a channel to speak to that person's mind and heart and transform that energy to something positive that says to them, you can get through this.
What does self-love and self-talk look like with Robin Sharma?
Oh, what a brilliant question. What a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. I'd say self-love is honoring the noble part of you. I believe we have an egoic self that formed through the hurts of life. That's our fearful side. Causes us to be selfish, causes us to have addictions, causes us to disconnect from truth and wisdom and love. And then we have our higher nature, our heroic nature, our finest selves. Self-love is honoring that part of ourselves, building intimacy with it, and then going out into a cold, hard, scary world and living that nature, even if you're an army of one. Self-love to me is standing for love in the world. It's not only love of your fellow human being, it's love of your mission, love of your values, love of your work, love of who you are.
What does self-talk sound like with Vishen?
So here's an interesting thing, right? Okay, so self-talk with me is a concept I use called the lofty questions. It's a way of programming your subconscious. Every day when I wake up, I program my subconscious with 27 commands. It's called identity upgrading. And this is a way of using a unique pattern of self-talk to expand your identity, to make you more confident, to make you believe in yourself more, to help you take on the identity of the person you dream of being.
What does self-talk sound like with Rick Ross?
A self-talk with Rick Ross is borderline magical. I'm somebody that could listen to sounds and actually see them in colors. I close my eyes and I tell myself, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to see happen. Let's invest in ourselves. You're never too big to be hands-on. A 250-acre estate. I went and purchased a tractor and 3 more lawnmowers, and guess what? Me and my team cut it ourselves. And we don't say, damn, nah, the Ferraris and all that shit parked over there. But we ain't too big to be hands-on. Remain hands-on. If you bought a home and you got piss behind your toilet, clean that piss up from behind that toilet today. Be hands-on. Get that shit off the side of your mama house. Be hands-on. If that fucking gutter hanging down off the ceiling, get somebody to help you to push that shit up there and nail it up. It only take 15 minutes. Remain hands-on. And that's how you got to do life. Be a boss, man. It won't be no ceilings. Trust me. And that's coming from Rose. This is a dude who I just wanted to get out of the projects. And I'm somebody that done became a millionaire 7 different ways. I'm somebody that done made little homies in the millionaires more than 7 different ways. So what I'm trying to say is when we sit down to the table and we brainstorm, let's execute this shit. Let's go hard. God is great. Let's stay solid. And if anybody challenge you, accept that shit and go hard.
What does self-talk sound like with Gabby Bernstein?
Oh, that's a good question to ask me. Self-talk is really compassionate. Oh, hey, Gabby, there you go again. Okay, we can try that differently next time. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. I love you. All is well.
What does self-talk sound like with Dave Asprey?
It sounds just like this.
Silence.
That 40 years of Zen thing, you can turn off the voice in your head. And man, you have a lot more energy when you turn that off. So my self-talk is, it's gone. It's not the angry, critical, all that stuff. I don't deal with that anymore. And there's a precise practice that I've gone through for years with a computer showing me when I'm doing it, so that there's sensations, here in the heart, but the voice in the head, the kind of nagging, chronic thinking when you don't need to be thinking, it's not a part of my life anymore.
What does self-talk sound like with Chris Voss? And I'm talking about not always at the pinnacle, but your testing times. What is that self-talk within your mind?
Yeah, it's the to me or for me approach to life. This is happening. Why is this happening to me? Why is this guy screwing up? Why does it happen to me that they're not getting the idea? That's negative thinking. I mean, to me, it's to me, for me. When I get a problem that comes up now, I go like, how's this happening for me? How's this helping me get better? This is saving me from a bigger problem. I just got hit with a big tax bill. How's this happening for me? Wow, I got to keep better records. Wow, this is helping me avoid an even bigger tax bill. I must be leaving money on the table in so many other ways. Thank God I got this notification to wake me up that I was making mistakes. If I made a mistake here, I'm making it in a lot of other places. I don't even know how it's costing me money. So to me, self-talk for Chris Voss is to me or for me. How's this happening for me? How's this helping me make more money down the line? How's this making me smarter? That's my self-talk.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like?
Well, when you're pursuing something that's deeply meaningful, truly inspiring, something you feel is your purpose in life, something you can't wait to get up in the morning and do, your internal self-talk is thank you, because you get to do it. But the second you subordinate to people on the outside and minimize yourself in comparison, as Einstein said, if you're a cat expecting to swim like a fish, you'll beat yourself up and you'll have internal dialogue that's self-defeating. The moment you subordinate to the world on the outside, try to be somebody you're not, try to be second instead of first in who you are, you're designed to have negative self-talk, to let you know you're off track from who your authenticity is. So negative self-talk is not a bad thing. It's a feedback to let you know that you're pursuing fantasies, not true objectives. And so what you do, the moment you're clear on what your highest priority is and what a true objective is, your primary objective, your self-talk cleans up and gets inspiring and gets focused. But if not, you're going to have self-depreciating self-talk because you're not being yourself. You're pursuing fantasies, one-sided outcomes, things that aren't really strategized, things that aren't really yours. And when you do, you automatically have the self-depreciating self-talk to let you know you are off track, you're not on track with who you are. The moment you're back on track, that self-talk dissolves. And now you're affirmative. And an affirmation means firmness in one's mind. It's not a positive statement. It means a condition of firmness in one's mind. And you're unwavering when you're congruent and you're clear on your mission. I've been clear on my mission since 17, 18. Ever since that, my mom told me, we're going to love you no matter what. There was no turning back. I've been clear on the mission. Finding what that mission is and getting clear about that mission and sticking to it, prioritizing it is enormously powerful to create a trajectory that is building momentum that's unstoppable.
What does self-talk sound like with Bob Proctor?
Pretty damn interesting. It's pretty interesting. I'm talking about what we're going to do, how we can improve this, how we can improve that. Who should I work with on this? Who should I work with on that? I'm planning. My self-talk's going on there all the time. And self-talk is vitally important. You know, a lot of people, God, if they could just, if friends talk to them the way they talk to themselves, they'd probably stay away from their friends. Self-talk is very important. Mine is really interesting.
What does self-talk sound like with Dre London? What is that inner conversation of you telling yourself, man, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do it. This is historical.
It's not scared of failure. Like I said earlier, scared to fail. Knowing I've come from where I come from. Sometimes I think, is it letting my mom down, letting my family down, my inner parent, myself? I think it's more letting myself down. Knowing all the things I've been through, knowing all the struggles I've had to go through, all the grinding, all the things I've had to go through in my life to come to where it is today. I think my self-perseverance is not wanting the bricks, the Lego, to fall down. I don't want that Lego to ever fall down. So I keep working harder and harder and harder every day at trying to be a better person. Because if that's the first thing I do, then everything else will come together. So my next notion is like, I wake up every day trying to be better, trying to do better than I did before the day before. And as long as you keep doing that, that self-perseverance to me is what helps me continue to be better and to grow every day. That self-perseverance. I won't stop. I'm not going to quit. So that self-perseverance will let me not give up. I'll look at it and say, nope, I woke up today. I got to do better than I did yesterday.
What does self-talk sound like with Dan Fleshman?
Just get started.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like on a daily basis?
Oh, that's a good question. So for me, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is I focus on what I love. I love waking up. And the other day I woke up and my neighbor's cat was sleeping in the crook of my knee. It come into the window. I was lying under this lovely sheet. There was a fan going. And I was thinking, well, this is just so nice. So when I wake up, I focus on, I love my bed. I love my bed and I love my shower. I love my first cup of coffee, my first cup of tea. And I always get into that state of what is great about today, right now. Because I believe that the minute you can get into that gratitude, I love my first cup of coffee. I love everything that's little and simple, because once you can get into that liking little things, then you start to like everything. And every day is a bit like Christmas, and big things are huge. And so it's just about always being grateful, not needing anything more, realizing, and a lot of people have found that in COVID, that things don't make us happy. It's our relationship with people. So for me, the being grateful is very important. What's good about this is very important. What do I love about my day, my life is important. And as long as I do that, my day is great. And sometimes the thing with all of that is that when you do it, it becomes so second nature that you don't even think about it. I don't think, oh, it's not fair that I can't eat pancakes for breakfast with syrup on them, because I don't want to eat like that. I like eating healthy food most of the time. So with all of this self-talk, it starts off being what you do, and then it becomes who you are. When it becomes who you are, it's automatic and effortless.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue sound with yourself?
Yeah, it's a beautiful question. Every time I think a thought that I don't like, so, sometimes you lose in business deals. And let's say that I'm thinking about the person on the other end of the table, and I'm like, that guy's a jerk, or using even a more colorful word. I then correct myself and say, send him love and compassion right now. Pray for the person on the other end of this table. I don't want people thinking negatively about me. I shouldn't be thinking negatively about them. And so anytime I catch myself with a negative thought, I try to correct it with a positive thought. Now, I've done that enough times to where my dialogue is very positive, but it wasn't that way before. I would have envy, or I'd be competitive, or I'd be comparing myself to other people, or I would, state things that were limited in my belief systems. And so over a period of time, as you start to become aware of your dialogue and you listen to it, and, I pray it away. So if I think a negative thought about myself or somebody else, I just go, you know what? I'm praying to remove that thought because I don't want that in my system. And so every single day you have to release the negative. You have to let go of the negative dialogue to make the space for new positive dialogue. And eventually you'll get to a place where you're filled with so much positive dialogue that positive things happen just naturally.
What does self-talk sound like with Bernard Hiller?
You know what? I have to say that I don't really have too much self-talk, but I live more on my instincts, and my instincts are always right, and your mind is always wrong, because self-talk is negative talk, because the brain is always trying to prevent you from pain, and all it does do is, if right now everybody said, right now, take a deep breath in and say, mind, am I talented? The mind's going to say no. It's going to say no. If you ask mind, ask your heart, am I talented? It says yes, because the heart believes in you and your mind doesn't. So I don't have as much self-talk as I have a lot of talk with a lot of people to help me. So I'm asking you to be also my mentor, because that's what I want. I want mentors everywhere. And so I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to some people, and also to talk to you and to get to know you, because I think that's my biggest thrill. I talk about, are we strangers or are we friends? But the idea is that how you approach someone, because I always think that a stranger is a friend I haven't met, so I thought you're my friend. I don't think of you as a stranger. What exactly are you? You may be strange, but you're not a stranger. And I don't consider I've ever met anyone who was a stranger. So I felt that they were like friends. So my self-talk is like, go for it. And there are days that are not so great. And I'm thinking, okay, pull yourself together, get back on it, because there's a mission. You're on a mission from God. You're sent here to do something. Get up, get some advice, dust yourself off. It's a training. You have to learn the best to be the best, but it's something you want to be. It's something, as I said, the stars that I know, they just want to be great. They want to be great. They want to kind of outdo each other. They want to that's Ronaldo wants to be Ronaldo better than Messi, or Messi better? Oh, wait a minute. They do it for themselves. And that's based on love. Love yourself, because that makes the world better.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like daily?
Yeah, so my internal dialogue always says that, there is nothing that is impossible to do unless you come to the conclusion that it is impossible. Because the day you come to that conclusion, that means you are not the one who's going to be able to solve that problem. Every time you have to believe that you cannot look at the world as is. Focus on the world, what you want it to be. So this idea that people have this, optimist looks at this glass half full, or, a pessimist look at the half empty. To me, that is even the wrong question. All you have to ask yourself is, do I want to fill that glass or not? Because if I want to fill that glass, then does it really matter is half empty or half full? And if I don't want to fill that glass, does it really matter is half empty or half full? So that means focus on what is your North Star. What are you willing to die for, and then live for it? And the one way to know that you are working on the wrong thing is, anytime when you wake up in the morning and you don't jump out of the bed, that means whatever you're working on, quit and find something that makes you jump out of the bed.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like on a daily basis? What do you tell yourself in your mind to actually stay aligned, and most importantly, to keep chasing the goals?
I always tell myself, even when I do videos, we're singing videos, when I make a video, I'm I'll mess up, Kedron, you have to stay focused. And I'll be you can do this. All you have to do is just stay focused. Remember that. Remember this. Then you have to just get in the mindset of what you're doing, because your mind is definitely a big part of your whole body, because this is what controls what you do and your actions. So it's just like, okay, Kedron, or I just stare in the mirror and be like, Kedron, you're a singer, and you have to carry yourself in a very respectful way, and you can't get off track because you never know who's watching, and you have to stay motivated and stay who you are, stay true to yourself. So it's go time. Like even when I go get ready to sing, I just say, God, please give me the words to say. Let me not stumble over my words. Even when I do interviews like this, I ask God just to protect me and let me not be afraid or frustrated to say something, and just flow and just let the words flow out my mouth. And yeah.
What does self-talk sound like with Mel Robbins?
Oh, I don't even know if your audience likes swearing, so I probably should have asked
Bring
you.
it on.
My self-talk, I have a very, very low tolerance for negativity. I just have gotten to a point in my life, and I've done so much work on myself that I don't vibrationally allow it. So does my mind drift there? Of course, but there's a lot of redirecting all day. I'm not going to think about that. Okay, that's all right. That's a problem. What am I going to do about it? So my self-talk is extraordinarily positive, and it's in the lane of, I can figure this out. This is happening for a reason. One of my most important things, there are two things that I do that I want you to steal. Remind yourself this is temporary. No matter what you're going through, it's temporary. And I love this mindset trick for two reasons. One is because if you're facing a challenge, reminding yourself that this is temporary shrinks the challenge. It shrinks your anxiety about it. It reminds you that there is something on the other side of this, that you'll get through this. The other reason why I love this positive talk, remind yourself this is temporary, is because it also does the inverse. When you realize this moment, this day, this podcast conversation, your life is temporary, it gives you permission to dream huge. You don't know how much time you have. So why not go for it? Why not heal yourself? Why not break out of the friend group that's holding you back? Why not end this relationship where you're not satisfied and feeling loved and fulfilled? Why not do the things that your heart is calling you to do? Because after all, this is temporary. And the final thing that I do is I don't ever leave a bathroom without high-fiving the person I see in the mirror. And the reason why is because too many of us look in the mirror and we don't even realize our subconscious immediately goes, ugh, or you see the thing you don't like, or you immediately think of something that's wrong with you. I want you, whenever you're in a bathroom, just give yourself a little high five, and you'll be surprised at how you start to realize that you're not cheering for yourself. And that's a simple way to start doing it.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like?
Self-talk is me knowing that I could accomplish anything I put my mind to, knowing that no one on earth that accomplished something that I will want to accomplish, that I can accomplish the same thing. If I put my time, energy, and effort into it, I'll be able to accomplish the same thing. You know, building the right relationships, setting myself up for success, getting battle ready, battle tested. And when I fall down and get up and dust myself off, to know that after every storm, the sun comes out, you know, and just tell myself that everything that I want to do, I will do. And that's really that.
What does self-talk sound like with Brant Pinvidic?
I can sum that up in one word: joy. That is my core driving factor right now. I spent a lot of years in the pursuit of career excellence. and monetary gain. And I have so many friends and colleagues that have so far exceeded wealth and prestige that I coveted, that I would have said would be the greatest achievement of my life. I have many people who have blown past my ideas 100 times over, and they still show up for work every day. And you can say, yes, it's because they enjoy it still, or it's because I think it's because they've trained themselves that that's the only thing that gives them joy. And so my functionality right now is to try to find joy as much as I can squeeze into every day. What can I do today that brings me joy? And I'm training myself how to experience it in other areas besides work. Because if you train yourself to only get it during office hours, quote unquote, it will be the only way you ever get it. And that's not something I wanted to do. So I'm really working on finding that feeling in other areas of life, excelling in other areas besides just the office.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like?
That's a really good question. I mean, I talk to myself a lot. I think the right now is I took some time off, right, and I'm getting a little bored, right, and I have this drive that's behind me saying, like, you there's a bunch of stuff you got to do. You got to get into more companies, more successful opportunities ahead of you. So right now, my self-talk is really pushing and motivating me to get back in the work groove and build some amazing things. And the other thing that is always behind me, and it's just the way I live by, is just selflessness. I'm very generous. I'm not greedy. I rarely put myself first, honestly. And even at Pluto, everyone had equity in the company, all the way to the secretary, right? And that's something that I truly live by. It's not something that's going to change. Anything I work on, I'm going to get a lot of people around me and making sure they come along for the ride. And so the voice in my head is really telling me just to give, and just be selfless.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like?
Oh man, that's it's so important. It's so important because what you tell yourself, and like, people have to understand that thoughts become things, right? I was telling somebody this yesterday. You know, what you think out loud is cool. That's what you think out loud, and that's what you're saying. But your subconscious thinking, that is really what determines and what shifts the rudder in your life, right? I can be like, hey man, this blazer, I think it's gonna look good, and it'd be okay. In the back of my head, it's like, it feels too tight, it doesn't look right, I don't feel good in it. You're not gonna feel good in it. Then something's gonna happen. You're like, see, I knew it. I shouldn't have worn this. You brought that to yourself. You brought that out because of those thoughts. In my head, it's just like, all right, take it step by step. Everything's gonna work out. I had a huge issue that happened 2 days ago, which brought me to Florida. I wasn't, we were trying to figure out when we could do this. I wasn't supposed to be in Florida 2 days ago when we talked, or when we were texting, and something happened and I had a huge curveball, and I'm like, shit, okay. Well, excuse me. I'm like, man, how am I going to figure this out? All right. I sat back. Some people, I used to get, when I was younger, I would get mad. I would be like, ugh, I'm throwing stuff and getting all mad. And now I don't get mad. I'm like, all right, take deep breaths. And I start running through everything in my head, and then look at it as a chessboard. People say, oh, you're playing chess. It's like, yeah, I was playing chess, not like Queen's Gambit. I love that, by the way. That thing, like, it's another inspiration that just hit me. But it's like, okay, you have to look at the consequence of every move that you want to make. But in my head, I'm like, all right, I can figure this out. Everything's going to work out. It's like, no matter what happens, I always believe everything's going to work out. And I truly believe that subconsciously. So it's like, no matter how bad something happens in my heart, that I know that it's going to work out. Do I know how it's going to work out? At this very moment, I might not. But I know that I'm going to get to that solution and that it's going to work out. So in my head, it's like, you got this. You got this. All right, keep pushing. Okay, we got this. All right. No. Like, what happens when you do this and this? Like, there's a movie called A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe. And
I mean, I think he ended up going like crazy towards the end of the movie. I don't want to go crazy, but in my head, that's what is going on is this. And I think the same with you, and everything else. Like, I'm pretty sure you read every book that's behind you, right? And like, we get our motivation from a lot of different things. But yeah, man, and my thoughts, my subconscious thoughts is that I'm a winner. I'm going to always win. And I'm going to fail, but that failure, I'm going to turn into a win. So when I say I'm going to always win, doesn't mean like, oh, I'm going to be perfect. It means like, nah, no matter what, you can knock me down. I'm going to get back up and I'm going to keep pushing. And nobody's going to beat me at what I'm trying to do.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like?
Are we allowed to cuss on this thing?
Why not?
Oh, man. I probably say F my life underneath my breath 3,000 times a day. It's almost like a bad habit now, but like something happens, I'm like, oh, F my life. So I got that going on. I say to myself a lot, Sperber, you could do anything. Sperber, you can do anything. Because, I mean, it's not like it's all glitz and glamour. I'm a deal maker. Every day I'm in the trenches. I have dozen plus companies now that I'm involved with, partners, CEOs. I'm a aggressive marketer. I'm always creating new content and trying to make customer experiences fun and engaging. And so it's not like I'm chilling. I'm not retired. Every day I'm in the grind. So it doesn't matter if you're working customer support or working the front desk at McDonald's, or if you're Cody Sperber, the CEO of 10 businesses. It's a challenge. It's a grind. And I'm, like any human, I'm constantly just trying to hold it together.
I can definitely relate.
Yeah, but there is a lot of positivity. I'm trained to reshift and bounce back. I think winners have a bounce back spirit. So even though there's an F my life that comes out, right behind it is Sperber, you can do anything. You got this. Think about the impact you're going to make. Think about what's the outcome's going to be. And I'm big on visualization. And so if you were in my head, you probably laugh a lot, and also probably start rooting me on like, Sperber, quit being so tough on yourself.
What does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like?
Well, I got two tracks going on all the time. I have a very, very conservative, almost wolf-like, waiting for the doomsday. Something terrible is going to happen. But over the years, I've also built this other voice, and it's like, because I have time now, I got a track, I got a period, I got 3.5 decades of winning. Since that period of time where I was not winning in my life, I have accumulated a lot of wins. And there's just, I'm right more often than I'm not. And I know that's going to sound arrogant, but it just takes time, man. You got to, the voices don't really go away. The negativity, the limitations, those don't really go away. We all have them. I think everybody has them to some degree, some more than others. I spent a lot of time on my spiritual development to clean up a lot of that stuff. But the things that I have done, doing this changes the voice. It gives you confidence. It gives you a track record. It gives you something to remember. Oh, wow. Remember when you did that? That worked out. I mean, I own $2.2 billion worth of real estate today. I've never bought a piece of real estate that didn't make money, ever. Not one. They make different amounts of money. Some of them are doubles and triples, and some of them are 10Xers. But I've never lost one that lost money. So I'm like, I'm pretty confident in picking a piece of real estate. That being said, my negative voice that's waiting for the next shoe to drop, for the failure, for me to fall flat on my face. It's been there for 50 years, by the way. It's never going away. That voice has kept me from making decisions on deals that I should have done. But I talked myself out of it because it beat what I knew to be right.
Joe, what does self-talk and your internal dialogue with yourself sound like?
oh my God, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to know that. You know why? Because people would absolutely think I'm batshit crazy if they can hear what me and the other self talk about. We have good conversations.